Morning, beautiful. It's lovely to see you. And it's a beautiful day. I mean, it's a very ordinary day, but there's the sky. You know. And I just love these. I love the clouds. Nothing spectacular about them, but they're so beautiful. And, you know, the garden is indeed full of flowers. So there's the circle garden. It looks like it's a mad thing, but it's lovely having a circle with a thing in the middle of it. Bit of a vortex, I guess. Let's go and look at the daffodils. Nora, good morning. We've got little daffodils here. These ones are called Bobby Soxer, I think. No, they're just Narcissus nanus, very, very small. And there's another one coming up there. And these ones I'm really enjoying. I've actually got to get my camera out and photograph them properly. Good morning, Sang Marie. Look at this. It's too early for spring, but whatever. Spring flowers. There they are. Daffodils in the almost no breeze of today. And there's the back of the garden. The daisies, which are very bright. But this is the star of the show, of course. It's these massed bulbs. And look, now the yellow jonquils, the little gentlemen, I'm going to take you around to the front, have come out, and they come out in this big long line, and they're beautiful. They're so elegant. I think it's a beautiful name for a little narcissus. I'll get a little bit closer so you can see more of the detail. There we go. Just beautiful things. I'm very fond of these. And then up the back, of course, you've got all the paper white, and the magnolia is really starting to go. And it's beautiful out here. And the weather, I have to say, has been uncharacteristically fine and calm for August. August, when I was small, used to be cold, miserable, and sort of wet. And it's not now. Might as well appreciate it. So there are the snowflakes. It's just very abundant blossom. And look, we've still got paper white here. Let's see if I can get close. There you go. It's a lovely jonquil. It's so pure. And there's you can see the flowers are starting to age, but it's lovely. There's the magnolia. And so many jonquils. Look at that. Gaia, it's beautiful to see you. Julian, welcome to the garden. So here we have the two different sorts of Tatzetta is the fancy name. They're old jonquils, but you see you've got the yellow ones and the white ones, or the cream ones. And I've got them both together. And they smell good. Sitting here and crouching down here, everything smells beautiful because narcissus have that bittersweet scent. So, I love it when they come out like this. There's nothing missing. Oh, and look, we have a little spider. A very interesting spider. It's not one that I normally see. Very long spider on one of the jonquils. Isn't that fabulous? All right. Oh, and I can smell them. They're so sweet. And there is the soldiers and sailors, which I so enjoy. Beautiful foliage. Nothing missing. This is a native cotula. This is just, I just love this. There's the daffodil leaves, there's the green and white and the blue, and then there's this wonderful, wonderful thing down here, which is just glorious. Maria, good morning. Just enjoying the garden. Jen, hello. I can see a little face popped up there. Okay, so let me get to the subject. Now, somewhere in the comments of the last day or so, one of you was just having a realisation, oh my goodness, I actually you made a connection. You recognised a limited feeling. G'day, David, great to see you. You recognised a limited feeling as being a limited feeling. It was unworthiness. You recognised unworthiness. And you were thinking about a particular challenge in your life, which I'm not going to identify. But you realise, and then this thought flew into your head, which was like, well, this is happening because I feel unworthy. And then you stopped and you thought, hang on a minute, that's bullshit. There's no relationship between this thing that's happened to me, hi Helen, and me being worthy or unworthy. No. It was a real might have been a slow aha moment, but when it landed, it was like, oh my goodness, that's really true. Nothing to do with it. And we had this little conversation. I decided I want to talk about this because there's a thing about this that I learned from Dr. Joe Dispenza, who of course is my inspiration and from whom I've learned so much, and it's been so transformative for me, that not only are our addictions, not only are our emotions addictive, right? And I'll come back to that in a minute, but I think I explained it yesterday. I'll probably explain it again today. But the thing about addictions is that we keep indulging them, right? And one of the ways that we indulge emotional addictions is actually to go around in our lives looking for reasons why it is okay for us to keep feeling the way we've been feeling. Hi, Gaia man! And this is like, what do you mean? You can actually be addicted to the very life you want to change? You mean that you go around finding reasons to feel this crappy way that you don't want to feel anymore? Hi, Linda! I can see. Greetings, Admiral's finally arrived. And I was like, really? What? But this is actually true. This really is what happens, is that you have a feeling inside yourself. And, a good example, we talked about this a little while ago, the example being that, I have this roving anxiety, and it arrives, I'm just feeling fine, and then suddenly I feel anxious, and I go looking for a reason why I should feel anxious. Like, what's wrong? What happened that I'm feeling this way? And this is kind of back to front what I'm talking about, but it illustrates it. You have a feeling and you go looking for something outside of you to give you a reason why you're feeling that way. G'day, Julia! And you can, and there is no reason. It's just roving anxiety, right? It's just started up. Some circuit in your brain is fired. It's been triggered by something in your environment that you haven't even noticed consciously, but unconsciously or subconsciously you've noticed it, and your brain's gone, oh, we need to be scared. And you're not aware of that, but you're looking around in your world or inside yourself, or you're thinking, g'day, Pooh, for a reason why you feel that way. And sooner or later, if you keep looking for a reason, you're going to find one, right? But it works. But it works the other way as well. That if you are in a state of feeling unworthy, okay, let's use that one, because feeling unworthy seems to be what sits at the bottom of us not receiving what we desire in life. Really, period, bottom line. If you don't feel worthy to have it, it's not going to arrive. And no matter what you think will feel about it, if it's not there, some part of you is not feeling worthy to have it. This is my own experience. So you have this baseline experience of feeling unworthy and you're not even aware of it because this is normal for you. It's like working really hard and receiving almost nothing for my efforts and certainly not feeling any satisfaction or feeling any love was normal for me. In relationships, in work, in life. That's just how it was. I would work really hard. I would get results, but enjoyment, satisfaction, love, no. And that was normal. I didn't think it was any different for anybody else. It was just who I thought I was and how I thought life was. So then it was very natural for me to find reasons in my life all the time why it was normal and natural and sensible and logical and reasonable for me to feel that way. This is how my life is. I can't make enough money. I can't find a way to be successful in business that works for me. Whatever the reason is. Oh, my relationship broke up. I'm sick. We keep finding reasons to actually affirm our state of being. And when somebody says to you, hey, do you realise that you're just subject to an emotional addiction? You've lost your will to a program. And that's, you can listen to Joe explain that. I don't know if I have time to explain it or not. If somebody says to you, hey, do you realise that you can choose to feel a different way? Immediately, the first natural human response is to say, no, I can't. this happened and that happened and this is my story and this is the reason why I feel like this. QED. I had this trauma 30 years ago and I'm defined by it. You know, we actually justify staying and being who we are because we've got all these really good reasons for it. And I'm in no way denigrating the incredible journeys that some people have through life. There's some really tough shit that happens, okay? I'm not saying that it wasn't difficult, and I'm not saying that it didn't leave a mark. It did. You have a powerful experience, it's going to get branded into the neurology in your brain, and that is going to affect the biochemistry of your body. And if you keep remembering it and revisiting it and reviewing it and experiencing it over and over and over again, then you make a huge neural net about that thing, which grows, by the way. Christina, good morning. It doesn't stay the same. So whatever the experience was, if you've revisited it and, you know, and it gets bigger. There's some research being discovered that with long-term being done, which has discovered that pretty much with long-term memories, by the time it is a long-term memory, we make 50% of it up. I gotta go find that and read it. You know, I believe Joe Dispenza when he tells me this. Because he's done the research, but I need to go find that. Really, we make up 50% of our long-term memories. So, you know, you might be remembering a life-threatening situation, but by the time you've remembered that for 10 or 15 years, whatever it was, it's actually worse. Because that's, you know, it's what the brain does. And so, you know, maybe you had a bad experience in an aeroplane, right? It nearly crashed or something. It was really scary. But the thing is, when you revisit that and you think about taking a flight and, you know, maybe you've got a phobia about, you know, flying on an aeroplane now, it gets worse and worse and worse. This is why these things tend to progress as time passes, because the brain builds more onto it. And then you say, well, you know, I can't fly because I feel awful because I'm scared. And don't tell me that it's possible for me to change that. Because I can't. And you're right, you can't just by, you know, you might have been thinking and feeling that way for 15 years and now you just decided that next week you want to get on a plane and feel all right. I've read that experience of conflict, believing I was worthy of what was mirrored to me from the world. Yes, and that conflict, g'day Shayla, lovely to see you. That conflict happens when we decide we're not going to stay in the same space of saying, well, this awful thing happened to me. You know, I had a really scary experience in an aeroplane 15 years ago, and I no longer want to be afraid of flying on an aeroplane, but you can't just decide, I'm not going to be scared anymore, because your body, remember, you've been programming your body to be the mind of fear when you get on an aeroplane. The body and your subconscious brain, the 95% of your mind, I beg your pardon, that is subconscious and unconscious, recognises, because you build all those patterns in your brain, you build all those neural nets that say, aeroplanes are dangerous places and I need to feel really scared. That's subconscious programming. And you can't just consciously suddenly decide to feel differently. That's the rub. That's the problem that we all have with this. And so we just say, well, I have a phobia of flying and that's the end of it. I can't, you know, you limit your life. That's what happens. But that's the problem, because the body is conditioned to that fear. And if you spend a lot of time feeling fearful, it actually kind of needs to be. And how does that work? When you think that fearful thought, there's chemistry that pours. Long story short, your adrenals produce stress hormones. And if you do that over and over and over a long period of time, the body actually gets addicted to the stress hormones. Negative emotions, long-term anything emotion, positive emotions too, by the way, negative emotions condition the body to actually require the negative emotion to feel normal. And if you don't have the negative emotion, you know, you've decided, I'm not going to be fearful anymore. And that is fine for, you know, an hour or so, or even a day. And then suddenly, kaboom, the body says, I want my fix of stress hormones. Give me stress hormones. Let me find a reason. Let me fire up an unconscious thought. Let me get this body feeling fear again, because the cells are wanting those adrenal receptors to be stimulated, and there's less of the adrenal hormones around than it's used to, so it goes looking for the reason. And so that's another thing that, when you think, I've been feeling this way for a long time, and you want to feel differently, there's another one of that you actually are saying, I want to shift my hormonal set point. But it was always going to feel wrong to shift a hormonal set point, because your body is saying, hey, I'm used to being scared 95% of the time. You want me to be scared only 50% of the time? Are you mad? This feels wrong. It's unknown. It's unfamiliar. And the body just says, no, I'm used to feeling this way, like this, for this long, most of the day, and don't you try to change it. We know how to survive like this. It might not be much fun, but this is just normal. So we go looking for circumstances and people and things and situations in our lives to justify continuing to feel the way we feel. And we probably all know somebody who you would say is just a drama queen, male or female. They're a drama queen. They keep manifesting drama in their lives. And they keep saying, I just want all this awfulness to stop. They have relationship problems, or they lose their job, or they get sick, or, there are accidents. Everything continually is always going wrong for them. And you think, how the hell does that keep on going for them? How are they doing that? Why is this always so tough for them? And you feel sorry for them, and that's part of the whole thing, You have drama, people help you, and they give you attention, and it's a whole thing. And again, if that's you, please don't think I'm beating up on you, because you would have learned to do that for a really good reason. You would have learned to do that as a means of survival. So I'm not beating up on you. I'm just saying this is what people do in order to survive. And so, if that's who you're used to being, and you suddenly decide, I don't want to be like this anymore, your body is used to those stress hormones. And so you're going along for the first morning of the first day that you think, I don't want to be a drama queen anymore. I don't want to keep fighting with people. I don't want to keep having conflict and difficulty, because there are people like that. They walk into a room and everybody's pissed off because they're just like that. Immediately, they don't have to say anything and everybody's annoyed, because they're carrying that energy, and their body is vibing that, because it's full of that chemistry. It's full of those unconscious programs running. They're not even thinking about it, but they're just being the body and the mind of sheer irritation and irritability and pissed offness. And if they decide someday that they want to be something else, their body and their brain has to change for them to be something else. And that means their hormonal balance has got to change, and the kind of circuitry that they're firing in their brain and that they've fired and wired for a very long time, it's got to be pruned apart. They've got to make new behaviours. They've got to develop different adaptive behaviours, which isn't necessarily about fighting, but it might be about being more assertive, or it might be thinking, well, what do I need to say? And finally, I remember the important part about this. You can get stuck in this identity of who you are and what you've done in order to survive. But when you start to notice it, what's the most important thing? The most important thing is to realise that you don't want to try and fix all that stuff. You want to work out what thoughts you do want to think and what feelings you do want to feel, and practice thinking and feeling and doing and being that. Because if you practice thinking and feeling and doing and being that, every time you manage to practice that new self, you are automatically going to be shifting your hormonal set point. You are automatically going to be thinking new thoughts. You're automatically going to be doing new behaviours. So the really, really, really important part of all of this is to actually work out who you want to be instead. So if you notice yourself thinking, oh my God, I'm being this bitching, fighting, make everybody pissed off the minute I walk into the room person that I've been for a very long time. Oh gee. Okay. And it's not going to work if I just say, I don't want to be this anymore. Who do I want to be? Okay. I maybe just want to try today, walking into the room, being conscious of loving on myself. Maybe that's all. Maybe I just want to hold a feeling of love and care and support for myself wherever I go today. Because if I can love on myself, then I'm going to be less thinking about fighting with other people, right? and if I can interact with people in a way that I feel is loving to me, maybe that's going to be good. So, and then just for one day, forget about tomorrow, forget about yesterday, just for one day, can I have the awareness that I'm going to walk through my life loving on myself as much as I can? Can I do that? And if it's the first day that you've decided you're not going to walk through life being a complete bitch or a, bastard or someone who's and you decide that you're going to explore being love to yourself, never mind anyone else, just being love to yourself. And then you start to think, oh, well, what would I say instead? Instead of, walking into a room and sitting down and kind of vibing at everybody, what vibe would I hold instead? What vibe would I want to send? Oh, I'm not even vibing anything at you, and I'm just sitting and holding my awareness inside me and being kind to me. Because actually I remember that I had a lot of people dump shit on me, and so I learned to be aggressive to survive. But if I'm going to think about the world being different and maybe not assume that everyone's going to dump shit on me the minute I walk into the room, if I'm less defensive, then how will I show up, for example? And if it is about fear, well, forget about how it happened. For me, that's irrelevant. If I'm not afraid, how do I show up? If I'm not afraid, how do I pack my bags? How do I think when I'm thinking about the fact that I'm flying in a week's time? How do I feel when I think about the fact that I'm flying in a week's time? Can I imagine myself sitting in the aeroplane seat feeling calm? Oh, shit, no. Well, I better practice that because I got to get to know the person that can be on the plane and feel safe. For me, it's not enough to tell myself not to be afraid. That has never worked. I've got to work out who I am when I feel good. And I've got to practice that. I've got to learn how to be that. Kaya, it's great to see you, honey. So we can't fight ourselves out of these things because it's unconscious and subconscious and it's wired into my brain and my body. I have to become the other person, and that starts with knowing who that other person is and thinking about how they show up differently. How they think and how they feel and what they do that isn't the same as what I've done for the last 24 years. That's what it comes down to. It's totally what it comes down to. So that's really what I wanted to say. And we're out of time, and it's Friday, which means you're going to have resonant replays through the weekend. And I'll be back on Sunday, Monday with bells on to continue to talk about all of this with you. And please ask me great questions because the best lives happen when somebody asks me a question. Very much love. Thank you for joining and participating with me and sharing this space. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.